You are probably not angry because of what just happened. That comment, that delay, that mistake, that small inconvenience, that person's tone. Those things may have triggered you, but they are rarely the full reason, because most anger is not born in the moment, it is awakened there. A small event touches a deeper wound, and suddenly the reaction feels bigger than the situation. Someone ignores you, and it feels personal. Someone corrects you, and it feels disrespectful. Plans change, and it feels unbearable. A tiny problem happens, and your whole mood changes. Then, later, when calm returns, you wonder, why did that affect me so much? Why do I lose control over small things? Why do I become someone I do not even like in those moments? Why do I know better, yet still react worse? Because anger is rarely simple. Sometimes anger is exhaustion, wearing armor. Sometimes anger is sadness, refusing to cry. Sometimes anger is stress with nowhere to go. Sometimes anger is pain, tired of being ignored. Sometimes anger is fear, pretending to be strength. Sometimes anger is a nervous system that has been fighting too long. And until you understand what your anger is protecting, it will keep controlling you. Many people think they have an anger problem. Often they have an unhealed pain problem, a stress problem, a boundaries problem, a pride problem, a nervous system problem, an identity problem. But anger becomes the face everyone sees. That is why some people explode over tiny things, not because the thing was big, because the burden they were already carrying was. One more disappointment, one more disrespect, one more demand, one more delay of what already hurts, and the mind says, enough. So, if you have ever regretted your reaction, if you have ever scared yourself with your temper, if you have ever damaged relationships over moments you could not control, if you have ever felt constantly irritated and didn't know why, if you have ever wanted peace but kept choosing fire, stay with me. Because this is not another shallow talk about anger management. This is about understanding the hidden machinery behind your reactions, why small things control some people, why tired minds become sharp-tempered, why disrespect can reopen old wounds, why ego turns pain into rage, why 10 seconds can save years, and how calmness becomes one of the highest forms of strength. By the end of this journey, you may stop seeing anger as your enemy and start seeing it as a message, a signal, a doorway, a wounded protector asking to be understood. And once you understand it, you can finally stop being ruled by it. But first, we need to expose why tiny moments seem to have so much power over your emotions, why one small inconvenience can steal an entire day, why one careless word can ignite something deeper.
Chapter 1. Why small things control you. Most people do not lose their peace because of big events. They lose it because of small ones. A delayed message, traffic, someone's tone, a misplaced item, a slow internet connection, being interrupted, a minor mistake, plans changing suddenly, one careless comment. Something tiny happens, and suddenly the mood shifts. Patience disappears, irritation rises, the body tightens, the mind becomes hostile, and the reaction feels larger than the event itself. Then, later, when calm returns, many people ask, why did something so small affect me that much? Why do little things ruin my day? Why can't I stay steady over minor problems? The answer is important, because small things are rarely powerful by themselves. They become powerful when they touch what is already overloaded. A single drop does not flood a room, it floods a room already full. That delayed message may not be the issue, it may land on top of loneliness. Traffic may not be the issue, it may land on top of exhaustion. Someone's tone may not be the issue, it may land on top of old disrespect.
A mistake may not be the issue. It may land on top of perfectionism and self-pressure. Plans changing may not be the issue. It may land on top of a nervous system craving certainty. This is why two people can face the same inconvenience. One shrugs, the other erupts. One laughs, the other spirals. One adapts, the other carries it for hours. The event is the same. The inner load is different. Many people think they are reacting to life. Often they are reacting to accumulation. Stress accumulated, sleep debt accumulated, unspoken resentment accumulated, responsibilities accumulated, emotions suppressed and stacked quietly over time. Then one tiny event becomes the final straw, and because it happened last, it gets blamed first. Imagine carrying 10 heavy bags all day. Then someone places a book in your hand and everything falls. Was the book heavy? Not really. It was simply added to an already strained system. This is how many people live emotionally, already carrying too much, then shocked when small things break them. There is another reason tiny moments feel huge: expectation. People become angry not only at what happened, but at what they believed should have happened. The line should move faster. They should text back by now. My day should go smoothly. They should know better. This should not be happening to me. Expectation creates friction with reality, and the tighter the expectation, the stronger the irritation when reality disagrees. Some people suffer daily because they expect a perfect world from an imperfect one. No delays, no inconvenience, no rude people, no mistakes, no discomfort. Life does not honor those expectations, so frustration becomes frequent. Emotionally intelligent people lower unnecessary expectations. They know traffic exists, people forget, technology fails, humans misunderstand, days go wrong sometimes. This realism protects peace, because when inconvenience is expected occasionally, it stops feeling like betrayal. There is also the issue of control. Small things anger many people because small things remind them they are not in control. The plan changed, someone chose differently, the machine failed, the weather shifted, the schedule broke. And for people who depend heavily on control to feel safe, minor disruptions feel emotionally expensive. Not because the event is catastrophic, because uncertainty feels threatening. This is why some people overreact to randomness. Their nervous system hears danger where life is only being life. Another hidden force is symbolism. Small events often represent something larger in the mind. Someone interrupting you may symbolize disrespect. A delayed reply may symbolize rejection. A mistake may symbolize failure. Being ignored may symbolize invisibility. A disagreement may symbolize not being valued. Now the issue is no longer small. The mind attached meaning to it, and meaning multiplies emotion. This is why learning to question interpretation matters. Ask, what actually happened, and what story did I attach to it? Those two things are often different. Someone replied late, that happened. They do not care about me. That may be a story. The cashier seemed rude. That happened. People always disrespect me. That may be a story. I made a mistake. That happened. I am failing at life. That is a story. Stories create suffering faster than events do. There is also fatigue of attention. Modern life constantly drains people in invisible ways. Notifications, noise, deadlines, financial pressure, comparison, lack of rest, too much information. The brain becomes overstimulated, and overstimulated minds lose tolerance faster. What once felt minor now feels unbearable. This is why some people say, I am angry all the time lately. Often what they mean is I am overloaded all the time lately. Without recovery, irritability becomes personality, but it's not personality, it's strain. Many relationships are damaged because people mislabel strain as character. They say, you're just angry, you're difficult, you're dramatic.
Sometimes the person is simply drowning internally. This does not excuse harmful behavior, but it explains why compassion and responsibility must coexist. Another powerful reason small things control people: suppression. Some people never process emotions honestly. They don't grieve, don't express hurt cleanly, don't admit fear, don't address resentment, don't rest when depleted. Everything gets buried. And buried emotion does not disappear, it ferments. Then a tiny inconvenience opens the lid. Suddenly the reaction seems irrational, but the reaction belongs to many hidden moments, not one visible moment. This is why emotional honesty is preventative medicine. When you process feelings regularly, they are less likely to explode unexpectedly. Some people are addicted to saying, "It's not a big deal," while becoming angrier each week. Everything matters somewhere. Ignored feelings send invoices later. There is also identity attachment. Some people need life to go right because they built self-worth around being efficient, competent, respected, admired. So when small things go wrong, it feels like self is under attack. A delayed project becomes personal failure. Being corrected becomes humiliation. A simple no becomes rejection. The ego enlarges ordinary moments because identity is tangled inside them. The freer you become internally, the smaller many problems feel externally. There is a practical truth here. If tiny things keep controlling you, don't only ask how to be calmer in the moment, ask what load you are carrying before the moment. What am I exhausted by? What resentment is unspoken? What grief is unprocessed? What pressure is constant? What expectations are unrealistic? Where am I demanding control? What story keeps repeating in my mind? These questions target roots, not symptoms. Many people keep trying to fix reactions while protecting causes. They want patience without rest, peace without boundaries, calmness without healing, tolerance without perspective. That rarely lasts. You can't build emotional steadiness on chronic internal chaos.
There is another subtle issue. Some people use anger to feel energy. When tired, numb, powerless, bored, irritation creates stimulation. Conflict creates aliveness. Complaining creates momentum. They become unconsciously attached to agitation because calm feels empty to a nervous system used to drama. This is why peace can feel strange at first. Silence feels boring. No conflict feels suspicious. Nothing wrong feels uncomfortable. The body misses intensity. Healing often includes learning to tolerate calm. That surprises many people. They thought they wanted peace until peace arrived quietly. There is a useful practice when small things trigger you. Pause and locate the real weight. Instead of saying, "This traffic is ruining my life," try, "I am already exhausted and traffic is touching that exhaustion." Instead of, "Their tone made me furious," try, "I already feel unseen and their tone touched that wound." Instead of, "This mistake proves I'm useless," try, "I am under pressure and this mistake triggered fear." Language matters. Accurate naming reduces false escalation. Once you identify the true source, you can respond intelligently. Maybe you need rest, maybe boundaries, maybe a difficult conversation, maybe less pressure, maybe grief work, maybe perspective, maybe simply food and sleep. Yes, sometimes wisdom is physiological. A hungry, tired person can create psychological theories about a problem that disappears after dinner and rest. Never underestimate biology. But there is one more truth. Small things can also train strength. Every inconvenience becomes a practice ground. Traffic can train patience. Delays can train flexibility. Mistakes can train humility. Interruptions can train composure. Rude people can train boundaries. Discomfort can train resilience. The same small moments that expose weakness can build mastery, if used consciously. Life gives daily repetitions, tiny chances to become steadier, and those who learn from small tests become stronger for bigger ones. Because if a person cannot handle inconvenience, pressure will crush them. If a person cannot handle delay, life will exhaust them. If a person cannot handle irritation, relationships will drain them. So do not despise these moments. Study them. They reveal where growth is waiting. Still, small triggers are often only surface signals. Many reactions carry pain that began long before today. Pain from being dismissed, ignored, mocked, rejected, humiliated. And until that older pain is understood, the present will keep paying for the past. Because sometimes you are not angry at the moment in front of you. You are angry at memories it awakened.
Chapter 2. Anger is usually old pain. Many people think anger begins in the moment. Someone says something rude, a person disrespects them, plans fall apart, they feel ignored, they are criticized, and suddenly anger appears. It feels immediate, fresh, caused entirely by what just happened. But often that is only the surface story, because anger does not always begin in the present. Sometimes it arrives from the past. The moment in front of you may be small, but it touches something old, a wound, a memory, a humiliation, a season where you felt powerless. And when old pain is awakened, the reaction can feel far larger than the event deserves. That is why some people shock themselves with their own emotions. They know the situation was minor, yet the rage felt major. They know the comment was careless, yet it felt devastating. They know the delay was normal, yet it felt personal. Because the current moment was not acting alone, it had help. Many people are not reacting only to what happened today, they are reacting to what today reminded them of. Someone interrupts you, maybe it awakens years of not being heard. Someone dismisses your idea, maybe it touches old feelings of being underestimated. Someone forgets their promise, maybe it wakes memories of unreliable love. Someone laughs at the wrong time, maybe it reopens humiliation you never processed. Someone becomes distant, maybe it touches abandonment you still carry quietly. This is why two people can experience the same event. One shrugs and moves on, the other burns inside for hours. The event is shared, the history is not. Pain gives certain moments extra weight. A person who was respected consistently may hear correction and remain calm. A person who was constantly shamed may hear correction and feel attacked. A person who experienced secure love may tolerate distance for a day. A person who lived through emotional inconsistency may panic or rage at silence. A person who felt valued growing up may survive rejection with sadness. A person who felt invisible may experience rejection as proof of worthlessness. Same moment, different nervous systems, different stories, different scars. This is why healing matters more than pretending. Some people try to solve anger only with discipline. Count to 10, breathe, walk away. And those tools matter, but if old pain remains untouched, the fire keeps finding fuel. Because anger is often pain that learned aggression to survive. Think about a child who was ignored repeatedly. They may grow into an adult hypersensitive to being overlooked. Think about a child mocked for mistakes. They may grow into an adult enraged by criticism. Think about someone betrayed deeply. They may grow into an adult who reacts strongly to small signs of dishonesty. Think about someone who had no voice. They may become explosive the moment they feel controlled. Pain adapts. It learns strategies, sometimes silence, sometimes pleasing, sometimes withdrawal, sometimes anger. Anger often develops where softness once felt unsafe. If sadness was dismissed, anger may become the allowed emotion. If fear was mocked, anger may become the mask. If vulnerability led to harm, anger may become armor. That armor may have helped once, but what protects you in one season can imprison you in another. Many adults are still wearing emotional armor built for childhood battlefields, then wondering why everyday life feels like war. There is another reason old pain becomes anger. Anger feels stronger than hurt. To feel hurt can feel exposed. To feel grief can feel helpless. To feel rejection can feel small. But anger creates the sensation of power. Energy rises, body tightens, voice strengthens. For a moment, vulnerability disappears behind force. This is why many people choose anger unconsciously, not because they love chaos, because anger briefly protects them from feeling weaker emotions beneath it. A person says, "I'm furious they left." Sometimes beneath it is, "I feel abandoned." A person says, "I hate being corrected." Sometimes beneath it is, "I feel ashamed." A person says, "I can't stand being ignored." Sometimes beneath it is, "I feel unseen and unimportant." A person says, "I'm tired of everyone." Sometimes beneath it is, "I am deeply overwhelmed." When anger is the only language pain speaks, life becomes loud, but volume is not healing. There is also stored resentment. Some people stay silent for years. They tolerate disrespect, avoid conflict, swallow disappointment, pretend they are fine, say yes when they mean no, smile while carrying bitterness. Then one day they explode over something tiny. People around them feel confused. Why are you reacting like this? Because the reaction is not about one day. It is about 1,000 unpaid emotional debts. Suppressed resentment compounds interest and eventually demands collection. This is why honest communication early is mercy later. Say no when needed, address patterns sooner, name hurt cleanly, set boundaries before bitterness forms. Silence can look peaceful while pressure builds underneath. There is also grief disguised as anger. Some people are angry because they lost years, lost trust, lost innocence, lost opportunities, lost relationships, lost versions of themselves they never mourned. Ungrieved loss often hardens into irritability. Everything annoys them because something deeper remains unfelt. Grief asks to be witnessed. When ignored, it may return as rage. Many people need to cry where they keep trying to control, need to mourn where they keep trying to dominate, need to accept where they keep trying to blame.
This is not weakness. It is release. There is another subtle pain. Humiliation. Few emotions create long shadows like humiliation. Being embarrassed publicly, being laughed at, being belittled by someone powerful, being made to feel small. These moments can stay in the body for years. Then later, tiny disrespect feels enormous, not because it is enormous, because the body remembers what smallness once cost, so it overprotects now. This is why some reactions seem disproportionate. They are often protective systems working with outdated data. The mind says, this small disrespect is survivable. The body says, last time smallness was dangerous. And body signals often arrive faster than logic. Healing includes updating the body, teaching it, we are not there anymore. We have voice now. We have choice now. We can leave now. We can set boundaries now.
We are not trapped now. This is powerful work, because many angry adults are carrying trapped versions of themselves from older seasons. The unseen teenager, the silenced child, the betrayed lover, the humiliated employee, the exhausted caretaker. Those versions still want protection, still want justice, still want acknowledgement, still want safety. Anger may be trying to defend them, but it cannot heal them. Only awareness can, compassion can, truth can, processing can, boundaries can, support can. There is an important distinction here. Understanding old pain does not excuse harmful behavior. Pain explains reactions. It does not justify cruelty. You are responsible for what you do with your wounds, but responsibility becomes easier when shame is replaced with understanding. Instead of "what is wrong with me?" ask "what happened to me and what is still living inside me?" Instead of "why am I so angry?" ask "what pain keeps needing protection?" Instead of "how do I suppress this?" ask "how do I heal what fuels this?" Those questions open doors. Many people spend years trying to control symptoms while feeding causes. They manage tone but not trauma, manage image but not insecurity, manage public reactions but not private wounds. Eventually, the hidden root keeps producing visible fruit. If you want different fruit, study roots. There is a practical exercise here. When anger rises, ask, "What does this remind me of? When have I felt this before? What emotion is beneath the anger? What need feels threatened? What wound feels touched?" Then pause. Sometimes the answer arrives immediately, sometimes slowly. But repeated honesty builds maps, and maps reduce confusion. You begin to notice patterns. Criticism triggers shame. Distance triggers abandonment fear. Disrespect triggers old humiliation. Chaos triggers childhood instability. Being ignored triggers invisibility pain. Once patterns are known, preparation becomes possible. Healing becomes targeted. Reaction loses mystery. Another truth. Some pain heals simply by being named accurately. I am not enraged by traffic. I am chronically exhausted. I am not furious at this delay. I feel unimportant. I am not mad at their correction. I still carry shame. I am not mad at their distance. I fear being left. Naming truth softens false battles, but there is still something that can make all pain worse: depletion. Even healed people become more reactive when drained. Even wise people lose patience when empty. Even strong minds weaken under chronic fatigue. Because pain may light the match, but exhaustion pours fuel. And many people are not only wounded, they are tired, deeply tired. Which is why the next truth matters so much. Sometimes anger is not about trauma. Sometimes it is simply what happens when a depleted mind runs out of room.
Chapter 3. Why tired people get angry faster. Many people think anger is always psychological, a personality problem, a character flaw, a maturity issue, a deep emotional wound. Sometimes it is, but many times anger is far more physical than people realize. Sometimes the problem is not that you are hateful, not unstable, not broken. Sometimes the problem is simple. You are tired, deeply tired. And tired people lose emotional distance faster. What would normally feel manageable feels offensive. What would normally feel small feels huge. What would normally be ignored feels personal. What would normally be solved calmly becomes a battle. This is why a person can seem patient one week and sharp-tempered the next. Nothing dramatic changed externally, but energy changed internally. And when energy drops, tolerance often drops with it. Think of emotional regulation like carrying water in a glass. When the glass is full,
A bump spills little. When the glass is nearly empty, even a small shake creates mess. Rest fills the glass. Exhaustion empties it. Many people keep judging themselves morally for reactions that are partly physiological. They say, "Why am I becoming this kind of person?" Sometimes the better question is, how long have I been running on empty? Sleep loss alone can transform personality. A person who is kind, patient, thoughtful, after repeated poor sleep can become irritable, reactive, impatient, suspicious. Because sleep is not luxury, it is emotional maintenance. During healthy rest, the mind processes stress, the body repairs, the nervous system resets, perspective returns. Without enough sleep, small stresses hit a system already inflamed. That delayed message feels bigger, that mistake feels heavier, that noise feels unbearable, that conversation feels harder than it is. Some people are not angry people, they are sleep-deprived people being interpreted incorrectly. There is also decision fatigue. Modern life demands constant choices: what to answer, what to buy, where to go, how to respond, what to prioritize, how to survive financially, how to keep everyone happy, how to keep yourself together. Thousands of micro-decisions quietly tax the brain. By evening, patience may be expensive. This is why some people snap most at night, not because nighttime is cursed, because mental bandwidth is gone. The mind that handled pressure gracefully at 9 a.m. may be fragile at 9 p.m. Exhaustion changes thresholds. There is also emotional labor. Many people are carrying invisible workloads, being strong for others, managing family tension, smiling at work while stressed, suppressing feelings to keep peace, listening to everyone else's problems, pretending to be okay when they are not, showing up while depleted. This creates a dangerous mismatch. From the outside, they look functional. Inside, they are draining rapidly. Then one small inconvenience arrives, and people say, "Why are you overreacting?" Because the person has been reacting internally all day. They just hid it well until now. Another source of irritability is chronic stress: bills, uncertainty, pressure to succeed, relationship instability, health fear, future anxiety. When stress becomes constant, the body begins treating ordinary life like emergency territory. Heart rate rises easier, muscles stay tense, patience shortens, noise irritates, interruptions feel hostile. The nervous system becomes less interested in nuance, more interested in survival. And survival mode is impatient. It wants speed, control, immediate relief. This is why chronically stressed people often appear angry at everything. Often they are simply living with an alarm system that never fully turns off. There is also nutritional depletion. Sometimes what feels like deep psychological rage is worsened by hunger, dehydration, unstable blood sugar, overstimulation from caffeine, poor recovery. This doesn't mean emotions are fake. It means body state influences mind state more than many admit. A hungry, exhausted, stressed person may build dramatic narratives around events that a nourished rest itself would barely notice. Never underestimate the power of basics: food, water, sunlight, movement, sleep, breathing, quiet. These are not shallow wellness ideas, they are foundations of emotional stability. Many people seek advanced healing while neglecting basic maintenance. There is another subtle fatigue: hope fatigue. When someone has tried for a long time, worked hard, stayed patient, held on, kept sacrificing, and still feels stuck, irritability can rise. Because disappointment drains energy too. Repeated frustration creates emotional weariness.
Then ordinary moments receive anger that actually belongs to deeper discouragement. The person snaps over dishes, but the real pain may be years of feeling unseen. They rage about lateness, but the real wound may be feeling life never moves for them. Tired people often misdirect anger, not intentionally, because exhaustion blurs sources. There is social fatigue too. Some people are overloaded by constant interaction, messages, meetings, noise, expectations, explaining themselves, being available. For introverted or already stressed minds, this can become draining quickly. Then even kind people begin to feel irritating, not because others are terrible, because the system needs space. Many arguments could be prevented by solitude taken in time. Rest is relational wisdom. There is another hidden factor: unprocessed micro-stress. Tiny frustrations throughout the day. The spill, the rude stranger, the traffic, the email, the noise, the delay, the mistake. None large enough alone, but accumulated together, they quietly raise internal pressure. Then one final harmless moment gets punished for all previous ones. This is why some explosions seem random.
They are cumulative. Pressure rarely announces its full total. It simply bursts when capacity ends. Many people need to ask daily, what has been costing me energy today? What have I not acknowledged? What do I need before I interact more? Without this awareness, depleted people keep demanding saint-level patience from empty systems and then shame themselves when they fail. There is another truth. Tired people often lose perspective. When rested, you can see nuance. Maybe they forgot. Maybe it was accidental. Maybe this will pass. When exhausted, nuance collapses. Everything feels intentional. Everything feels urgent. Everything feels bigger. Everything feels personal. Fatigue narrows emotional intelligence. This is why arguments started at midnight often look foolish by morning. Rest can restore wisdom faster than debate. Some of the best apologies in life begin after sleep. There is also the ego of exhaustion. When people are depleted, they often become less willing to bend, because bending requires energy. Patience requires energy. Grace requires energy. Listening requires energy. Curiosity requires energy. When resources are low, rigid reactions become tempting. No, I don't care. Whatever. Leave me alone. Harshness can be laziness from depletion, not always malice. Still, impact matters. Being tired explains reactions. It does not excuse damaging people, but understanding cause helps create solutions. So, what helps? Protect sleep like medicine. Reduce unnecessary decisions. Build pauses between demands. Eat before emotional conversations when possible. Take solitude before resentment builds. Move your body to discharge stress. Notice patterns in timing. If you always snap late evening, honor that data. If hunger makes you sharp-tempered, respect biology. If non-stop social contact drains you, create boundaries. Self-knowledge prevents many avoidable battles. There is a powerful phrase: do not trust your exhausted mind completely. An exhausted mind says, everything is wrong, nobody cares, this always happens, I hate everyone, my life is ruined. Sometimes what it really means is, I need rest, I need recovery, I need space, I need nourishment, I need gentleness. One of the highest forms of maturity is learning the difference between a life problem and a depleted state problem. Many people keep trying to solve life while tired, then create worse life. There is another hidden sadness. Some people have been tired so long they call it personality. I'm just short-tempered. I'm just difficult. I'm just always annoyed. Maybe you have normalized depletion. Maybe your body has been asking for mercy through mood. Maybe your anger is fatigue with a voice. This realization can be freeing, because what feels like identity may be condition, and conditions can change. Yet rest alone cannot heal everything. Some people sleep better, eat better, recover more, and still feel rage when disrespected, still react intensely when ignored, still burn when made to feel small. Because beneath fatigue there may be wounds of dignity, memories of being mocked, used, dismissed, powerless, and those wounds can turn ordinary moments into emotional battlefields. Exhaustion lowers the gate, but unresolved disrespect often charges through it, because some anger is not from tiredness, it is from old humiliation still asking for justice.
Chapter 4. Disrespect Wounds That Never Healed. Some anger is not about inconvenience, not about traffic, not about noise, not about a delayed message, not even about a difficult day. Some anger comes from something older. Disrespect. The feeling of being treated as less important, less worthy, less human, less valuable. Being dismissed, talked over, mocked, used, ignored, belittled, lied to, made small in moments that mattered. These experiences can leave marks deeper than many realize, because human beings do not only need food and shelter, they need dignity, the feeling that their presence matters, that their voice counts, that their boundaries deserve recognition, that they are not invisible. When dignity is repeatedly wounded, anger often becomes the bodyguard. This is why some people react intensely to things others call minor: being interrupted, being ignored, being spoken to carelessly, being made to wait disrespectfully, being laughed at, being corrected harshly, being dismissed publicly. To outsiders, the reaction may seem too big, but outsiders are only seeing the trigger, not the history. A person may explode when interrupted, not because of one interruption, because they spent years unheard. A person may rage when lied to, not because of one lie, because betrayal has old scars. A person may become deeply angry at mockery, not because of one joke, because humiliation once changed how they saw themselves. This is why understanding context matters. Some reactions are not irrational. They are accumulated dignity defending itself badly. There are people who learned early that respect was unstable. Maybe they grew up in homes where shouting replaced listening, where authority meant intimidation, where mistakes invited shame, where opinions were mocked, where boundaries were punished, where tenderness was called weakness. A child in such environments may learn dangerous lessons. If I am soft, I get hurt. If I stay quiet, I disappear. If I trust, I get used. If I make mistakes, I become small. So later in life, even ordinary moments can feel charged, because the nervous system remembers what the mind has minimized. Someone raises their voice and the body braces before logic speaks. Someone dismisses a thought and old humiliation wakes instantly. Someone becomes controlling and hidden rage rises from years of feeling powerless. The present moment may be manageable, but the stored memory attached to it is not. There is another kind of disrespect wound, adult disrespect. The partner who constantly invalidated you, the boss who used your effort and erased your value, the friend who joked at your expense for years, the family member who normalized cruelty, the environment where your kindness invited exploitation. People often underestimate how much repeated disrespect changes identity. At first, it hurts, then it confuses, then it erodes confidence, then anger starts forming quietly, because somewhere inside, the self knows something sacred is being violated. Many people call themselves angry people, when in truth they became angry after too many tolerated insults. This does not justify harming others, but it changes the story. Sometimes anger is not random temperament, it is delayed protest, the soul saying enough, enough being minimized, enough being spoken to carelessly, enough accepting what degrades me. The tragedy is that many people express this protest destructively. They explode at the wrong people, punish safe people for old pain, become harsh where boundaries were needed, carry suspicion into healthy relationships, attack tone instead of addressing truth, destroy trust trying to reclaim dignity. This is what happens when valid pain uses invalid methods. The need is real, the strategy is costly. There is also humiliation memory, one of the most potent fuels for rage. To be embarrassed publicly, rejected visibly, cheated and made foolish, mocked where others watched, exposed unfairly, made to feel powerless while others stood by. These moments can freeze in the nervous system. Later, anything that resembles them can provoke outsized anger, because the body says, "never again." And when never again leads behavior, calm interpretation becomes difficult. You stop responding to the present, you start defending against ghosts. Another hidden wound is invisibility. Some people were not insulted openly, they were simply overlooked repeatedly, ignored in families, unseen in relationships, used for service but not valued, heard only when useful, loved conditionally. This creates a quieter anger, the anger of being emotionally erased. These people may react strongly when forgotten, when not acknowledged, when not considered, when effort is unnoticed, not because they are needy, because invisibility has history. There is a difference between wanting attention and wanting proof that you matter. Many confuse the two. There is also self-disrespect turned outward, when someone repeatedly abandons their own standards, says yes when they mean no, stays where they are mistreated, laughs at what wounds them, explains away red flags, trades dignity for belonging. Internal resentment forms, then later anger appears everywhere. Sometimes you are not angry only at others, you are angry at yourself for betraying yourself too long. This truth can sting, but it can also free, because if self-betrayal helped create the pain, self-respect can help heal it. Many people keep asking, how do I stop being so angry? Sometimes the better question is, where did I accept disrespect and call it normal? Where did I remain silent and call it peace? Where did I shrink and call it kindness? Where did I stay too long and call it love? These questions uncover roots, because unresolved disrespect creates two common paths: submission or aggression. Some collapse, lose voice, become timid, avoid conflict entirely. Others overcorrect, become combative, defensive, hyper-alert to slights, quick to anger. Both are responses to wounded dignity. Neither is true freedom. Freedom is assertiveness, calm strength, the ability to say, that does not work for me, the ability to leave without explosion, the ability to confront without chaos, the ability to protect yourself without becoming cruel. That is healed power.
but many never reach it because they think anger itself is power. It is not. Anger can provide energy, but energy without direction burns everything nearby. Power is cleaner. Power knows timing. Power uses boundaries. Power speaks clearly. Power withdraws access. Power does not need scenes to prove itself. There is a practical exercise here. Think of moments that anger you most: disrespectful tone, being ignored, being lied to, being controlled, being laughed at. Then ask, when did this first become painful for me? Who taught me this wound? What part of me feels threatened here? What would protection look like now, not then? This shifts you from reaction to understanding, from old battlefield to present reality, from child defense to adult choice. You may realize, I hate being interrupted because I never felt heard. I rage at lies because betrayal once broke me. I cannot stand mockery because shame once owned me. I react to control because I used to feel trapped. These insights reduce confusion, and confused anger is dangerous anger. Clear anger can become useful information. There is another level of healing, learning to give yourself the respect others failed to give you. Keep your word to yourself. Speak to yourself cleanly. Leave degrading spaces sooner. Protect your time. Honor your standards. Choose environments where dignity is normal. The more self-respect grows, the less crumbs of respect from others control you. This matters because
many people seek justice from those who harmed them. They want apology, recognition, regret, understanding. Sometimes it comes, often it does not. If your healing depends on their awakening, you remain chained to their ignorance. Real healing begins when you become the source of what they withheld, not perfectly, but consistently. Still, even healed dignity can be disrupted if the body lives in constant alarm. Because some people are not only wounded by disrespect, they are biologically on edge, always tense, always scanning, always one inconvenience away from eruption. The mind may want peace, but the nervous system is prepared for war. And when the body is fighting everything, even harmless moments feel hostile.
Chapter 5. Your nervous system is fighting everything. Some people are not angry because life is terrible. They're angry because their body believes life is dangerous. That difference matters because many reactions begin before thoughts do, before logic, before words, before conscious choice. The heart tightens, breathing changes, jaw clenches, shoulders rise, stomach hardens, patience shortens, attention narrows, and only then does the mind create a story about why. This is one of the least understood truths about anger. Sometimes the body reacts first, and the mind explains later. A person says, "That comment made me furious." Maybe, or maybe the body was already in a threat state and the comment became the spark. Another person says, "Everything annoys me lately." Often what they mean is, my nervous system has been overloaded so long that small stimulation now feels hostile. When the body's on edge, noise feels louder, delays feel heavier, questions feel intrusive, mistakes feel intolerable, interruptions feel aggressive. Even neutral events can feel like attacks because the system is not asking, "Is this dangerous?" It is assuming danger first. Many people live in survival mode without naming it. They wake tired, move fast, stay tense, rush through tasks, check phones constantly, carry financial pressure, suppress emotions, consume bad news, rarely breathe deeply, rarely feel safe enough to soften, then wonder why calmness feels far away.
Calmness cannot grow easily in a body trained for war. There's a reason some people say, "I know I overreact, but I can't stop in the moment." That sentence reveals something important. The conscious mind may know better, but the nervous system is stronger than ideas when activated. If your body feels threatened, wisdom becomes harder to access. This is why education alone does not always change behavior. You can understand triggers intellectually and still react physically, because the lesson must reach the body, not just the mind. Many nervous systems became overprotective honestly. Childhood chaos, unpredictable households, frequent shouting, walking on eggshells, emotional neglect, bullying, betrayal, years of instability, repeated stress. The body learned, stay alert, stay ready, relaxation is unsafe, peace can disappear quickly. So it adapted. Hypervigilance became normal, scanning became normal, tension became normal, expecting the worst became normal. Then adulthood arrives. The environment may change, but the body continues using old rules. A calm room still feels suspicious. A loving partner still feels uncertain. A minor disagreement feels catastrophic. A delayed reply feels alarming. Not because the present is truly dangerous, because the body is operating from outdated maps. There is another modern cause: constant stimulation, notifications, fast media, noise, multitasking, never-ending input, no silence, no true rest. The nervous system was not designed for endless micro-alerts. Each ping says, "Pay attention." Each headline says, "Something is wrong." Each interruption says, "Stay switched on." Eventually, the body remains semi-activated all day. Then one extra inconvenience tips it over. People blame personality. Often it's accumulated activation. Some people also mistake adrenaline for productivity. They run on pressure, rush, urgency, stress-fueled momentum. Being busy becomes identity. Stillness feels uncomfortable. Slowness feels guilty. Rest feels lazy. But a life built on constant activation usually invoices later. Irritability, burnout, explosive reactions, sleep issues, anxiety, disconnection. Because the body can sprint for years, then suddenly demand repair. There is a powerful phrase, "The body keeps score," not as punishment, as memory. The body remembers seasons the mind minimized. It remembers nights of fear, years of tension, relationships that required constant self-abandonment, jobs that kept you braced, homes where peace was unpredictable. Even after you move on, the body may still be guarding doors no one is trying to break anymore. This is why some people say, "Nothing is wrong, but I still feel on edge." Exactly. Sometimes danger ended, but the adaptation remained. There are signs your nervous system is fighting everything. You startle easily, small sounds irritate you, you feel tired but cannot relax, you assume bad intentions quickly, you crave control excessively, you feel guilty resting, you snap after minor inconvenience, you replay stress constantly, you feel calm only when alone, you need silence but rarely create it. These are not signs of failure, they are signals of load, signals of a system asking for regulation. Another important truth: you can't shame your nervous system into healing. Calling yourself crazy, weak, too sensitive, difficult, broken, these labels add stress to stress. Healing begins with respect. Your body learned protection the best way it knew. Now it needs updating, not hatred. Some people try to solve body stress with mental force. I should calm down. I need to stop caring. I'll just think positive. Useful sometimes, but incomplete, because regulation is embodied. Breath matters, sleep matters, food matters, movement matters, light exposure matters, rhythm matters, touch matters, safety matters, environment matters. The body listens to conditions more than lectures. Start with breath.
A slow exhale tells the body something the mind forgets. We may be safe enough right now. Longer exhales, unclenching jaw, dropping shoulders, relaxing hands. These small acts can interrupt invisible threat signals. Then rhythm, consistent sleep times, morning light, regular meals, walks, moments without screens, predictable routines calm systems built by unpredictability. Then movement. Stored stress often needs exit. Walking, stretching, training, dancing, shaking out tension. Still bodies can hold old alarms for years. Then boundaries. Some nervous systems stay activated because life keeps violating them. Too many demands, too many draining people, too much access given to chaos. No body feels safe in a life with no limits. Sometimes regulation requires saying no. Then environment, messy spaces, loud spaces, hostile spaces, constantly reactive people around you, all shape internal state. Some people call themselves angry, then live inside systems designed to keep anyone dysregulated. There's also emotional completion. Stress responses often want completion. Tears not cried, truth not spoken, grief not processed, anger not understood, fear not comforted. When emotions are repeatedly interrupted, the body can stay mid-story. Healing often means allowing what was paused to finish safely. There's another subtle trap. Some nervous systems are addicted to activation. Calm feels boring, peace feels suspicious, silence feels empty. They seek drama unconsciously because intensity feels familiar. This can sabotage healing. You say you want peace, but choose chaos repeatedly because the body recognizes it. Awareness breaks this cycle. You can learn that unfamiliar calm is not danger, it's growth. Many relationships suffer here. One regulated person meets one dysregulated person. The regulated person wants discussion. The activated system hears threat. Simple feedback becomes attack. Need for space becomes rejection. Neutral tone becomes hostility. Then both feel misunderstood. This is why nervous system healing is relationship healing. You communicate differently when your body is not at war. You hear better, pause easier, interpret more accurately, recover faster, love cleaner. There is a powerful question to ask when anger rises. Is this a real threat or a stressed body? Sometimes the answer is real threat, act accordingly. But many times the answer is I'm overloaded, hungry, underslept, triggered, braced. Then the solution changes. Instead of attack, regulate. Instead of argument, pause. Instead of proving, breathe. Instead of escalation, reset. This saves enormous damage. Another truth, safety is a practice, not a prize handed once. You build it daily by keeping promises to yourself, creating routines, choosing healthier people, leaving harmful environments, resting without guilt, feeling emotions safely, letting your body learn life is not always an emergency now. And as that lesson deepens, tolerance returns, patience lengthens, perspective expands. Small things stop feeling like warfare. Still, even a calmer body can be hijacked by another force, ego. Because some people are physically calmer,
yet still become enraged when pride is touched, when identity is challenged, when being right feels threatened, when status feels questioned. The nervous system may relax, but ego can still light fires the body no longer needed. Because pain can become stress, but stress often becomes rage when ego takes over.
Chapter 6. How Ego Turns Pain into Rage. Not all anger comes from pain. Not all anger comes from stress. Not all anger comes from a wounded nervous system. Some anger comes from something quieter, more socially accepted, even praised sometimes. Ego. The fragile need to feel superior, right, untouchable, respected at all times, in control, seen as important. The ego does not always look arrogant. Sometimes it looks defensive, easily offended, unable to apologize, needing the last word, over-explaining, constantly comparing, feeling insulted by correction, turning small disagreements into identity battles. This is why some people become furious over tiny things, because the event was small, but what it touched felt large. Their image, their pride, their sense of status, their need to be right, their fantasy of control. Someone disagrees, and ego hears disrespect. Someone gives feedback, and ego hears humiliation. Someone succeeds, and ego hears personal failure. Someone says no, and ego hears loss of importance. This is how ordinary moments become emotional wars. Ego translates reality through self-centered threat. Everything becomes about me, my image, my value, my position, my control. And once everything becomes personal, peace becomes difficult, because life is full of neutral events, but ego rarely sees neutral, it sees challenge. Many arguments are not about truth, they are about identity. Two people discussing a topic, then suddenly voices rise, defensiveness appears, listening ends. Why? Because one or both stopped protecting truth and started protecting self-image. They no longer ask, what is accurate? They ask, how do I avoid looking wrong? This is why intelligence does not always prevent anger. A smart ego can justify anything. It can produce speeches, logic, blame, moral superiority, all while hiding one simple fear: I do not want to feel small. There is another face of ego: control. Some people are calm only when life obeys them, when schedules go their way, when people respond as expected, when outcomes match plans, when others behave correctly. But life does not sign contracts with our preferences. People change, traffic happens, mistakes happen, rejection happens, delays happen. And when control-dependent people meet reality, anger rises quickly. Not because life is cruel, because ego believed it should be obedient. This is why surrender can heal what force never could. Not surrender of standards, surrender of illusion. The illusion that everything must align for you to be okay. Another ego trap is comparison. Someone else wins, gets chosen, gets praised, gets ahead, and instead of inspiration, anger appears. Why? Because ego built identity on being above. So another person's rise feels like your fall. This is exhausting. You cannot be peaceful while competing with every visible life. Someone's beauty angers you. Someone's success angers you. Someone's confidence angers you. Someone's happiness irritates you. Not because they harmed you, because ego feels threatened by reminders of what it craves. Humility frees enormous energy here. Another subtle ego wound: being misunderstood. Some people become enraged whenever others do not see them correctly. If someone misjudges them, questions them, fails to appreciate them, they spiral. Why? Because identity depends on external recognition. But if your worth requires perfect understanding from imperfect people, you will suffer constantly. Many people do not need more control, they need less dependence on perception. Let people misunderstand sometimes. Correct what matters, release what doesn't. Your peace should not require universal accuracy. There is also the ego of victimhood. Important truth: some people build identity around always being wronged, always the one treated unfairly, always surrounded by fools,
always better than the room, always unappreciated genius. This identity protects them from painful accountability. If everyone else is the problem, they never have to grow. But bitterness often hides undeveloped responsibility. The ego would rather feel superior than transform. This is why some angry people remain angry for years. Anger became identity, and identities resist change. Another dangerous ego form is moral ego. I am more mature than them. I am wiser. I am deeper. I am better. This can sound spiritual, calm, sophisticated, yet still be ego, because superiority can wear elegant clothes. And once you believe you are above others, their flaws become fuel for contempt. Contempt often becomes chronic anger. Humility says, I may be right here, but I'm still human too. That posture softens harshness without weakening standards. There is another painful truth. Many people use anger to avoid shame. Shame says, I made a mistake. Anger says, you made me do it. Shame says, I feel insecure. Anger says, who do you think you are? Shame says, I am afraid. Anger says, I'll show you. Because shame feels vulnerable, anger feels powerful. So ego chooses power performance over honest weakness. This delays healing. What you refuse to feel honestly returns loudly. This is why apologies are hard for ego-driven people. An apology requires temporary smallness. I was wrong. I hurt you. I need to do better. To a healthy person, this is maturity. To ego, it feels like death. So they defend, minimize, counterattack, change topic, bring up your flaws, do anything but kneel before truth. And this destroys relationships slowly, because intimacy cannot survive where accountability is absent. There is a practical test. Ask yourself, what angers me most? Being corrected, being ignored, not being obeyed, losing, being outshone, being misunderstood, being told no. Now ask deeper. What identity does this threaten? The smart one, the respected one, the important one, the superior one, the always right one, the needed one. This reveals where ego lives and what ego fears losing. Awareness is powerful because ego hates being seen. Once exposed, it weakens. There is also a difference between self-respect and ego. Self-respect says, I deserve dignity. Ego says, I deserve superiority. Self-respect sets boundaries. Ego demands worship. Self-respect can apologize and remain whole. Ego treats apology like humiliation. Self-respect is stable. Ego is hungry. Many confuse the two. They think pride is strength, but pride is often insecurity wearing armor. Real strength does not need constant defense. Another healing move, practice being wrong safely. Let someone else know more. Lose small arguments. Ask questions. Say, I don't know. Receive feedback without collapse. Allow others to shine without shrinking. This retrains identity. You discover something profound. You can be imperfect and still valuable. You can lose moments and still remain whole. You can be corrected and not be diminished. You can be ordinary sometimes and still matter. That realization calms many fires. There is another form of power, the power of not needing to win every moment, not needing final words, not needing everyone to agree, not needing every room to confirm your worth. That freedom feels like peace, because it is. Still, ego can rise quickly in heated moments. Even wise people feel it. The urge to reply now, defend now, prove now, punish now. And in those moments, one skill becomes priceless: the pause, the space between wound and weapon, the breath between trigger and consequence, the 10 seconds that save reputations, relationships, years. Because many disasters were not caused by anger alone, they were caused by anger acted on too quickly.
And one small delay can change everything. Chapter 7. The 10 seconds that save your life. Many regrets are only seconds long, not years, not decades, seconds. 10 seconds of anger, 10 seconds of pride, 10 seconds of impulse, 10 seconds where emotion moved faster than wisdom, a message sent too quickly, a sentence spoken too harshly, a door slammed, a threat made, a truth revealed carelessly, a relationship damaged, a reputation cracked, an opportunity lost. Sometimes the event was brief, but the consequences stayed for years. This is why one of the most powerful skills in life is not intelligence, not charisma, not even confidence. It is pause. The ability to create space between what you feel and what you do. Most people live without that space. Something happens, they react. Someone disrespects them, they fire back. Someone delays, they assume the worst. Someone criticizes, they defend instantly. Someone triggers insecurity, they over-explain. Someone says no, they become cold. Stimulus, reaction, no space, no leadership, no choice. That is not freedom. That is conditioning. The pause breaks conditioning. It says, wait, what am I feeling? What story am I telling? What matters here? What will this cost me? Who do I become if I act from this emotion? Those questions can save entire futures. Many people think emotional control means suppressing feelings. No, it means delaying obedience. You can feel anger fully without immediately expressing it badly. You can feel hurt deeply without punishing someone instantly. You can feel fear strongly without making desperate decisions. You can feel humiliation without trying to restore ego through damage. This is maturity, feeling honestly, choosing carefully.
The first 10 seconds matter because emotions peak fast. When triggered, the body surges, heart rate rises, breathing shortens, thought narrows, perspective shrinks, urgency increases. The mind begins shouting, reply now, fix this now, defend now, attack now, leave now, prove now. But urgency is not always truth. Sometimes urgency is just activated biology, and biology often calms if not obeyed immediately. This is why delay is medicine, not avoidance, strategic delay. 10 seconds, 10 breaths, 10 steps away, 10 minutes if needed, 1 night sometimes. Time gives wisdom room to enter. There are messages that should have been drafts, arguments that should have been tomorrow, decisions that should have waited until breakfast. Many people trust their triggered mind too much. The triggered mind is efficient at one thing: protection, not accuracy. It sees threat everywhere, assumes intention quickly, magnifies insult, minimizes consequence, seeks relief over results. That is why the pause is sacred. It invites another intelligence into the room: perspective. You begin to ask, is this personal or am I personalizing it? Is this urgent or just uncomfortable? Is this disrespect or miscommunication? Is this worth solving or worth releasing?
Will I care about this next week? Will I be proud of this response tomorrow? These questions cool many fires. There is a difference between reaction and response. Reaction is fast, automatic, often emotional. Response is considered, intentional, aligned with values. Reaction protects mood. Response protects future. Many people sacrifice future to defend mood. They feel insulted for 1 minute, then create months of damage. They feel lonely for 1 evening, then return to what harms them. They feel embarrassed briefly, then retaliate and lose trust. Short feelings, long consequences. The pause restores proportion. Another truth: silence in the first 10 seconds is often stronger than speech. When someone expects you to explode and you do not, power shifts. When someone expects defensive paragraphs and you give none, power shifts. When chaos invites chaos and you remain steady, power shifts. Many people do not realize how often others test your nervous system, consciously or unconsciously. Tone, provocation, disrespect, withdrawal, mockery. If you react predictably, you become controllable. The pause makes you less controllable. That changes relationships. Some people lose interest in games when buttons stop working. There is another kind of pause, the pause before self-betrayal. You are about to say yes when you mean no. Pause. You are about to stay because leaving feels scary. Pause. You are about to overshare because loneliness feels loud. Pause. You are about to spend from emotion. Pause. You are about to apologize for having standards. Pause. Not all explosions are angry. Some are quiet betrayals of self. The pause protects dignity too. Many people say, "I just say things in the moment." That sentence sounds casual, but it often means, "I have not trained restraint." Anything can be said in a moment. Cruelty, secrets, threats, disrespect. Moments are poor places to outsource character. Your values matter most when emotions disagree with them. Anyone can be kind while calm. Anyone can be wise while comfortable. The test arrives when triggered. Can you still remain yourself? That is where the pause becomes identity. Each time you choose it, you teach yourself, "I am not my first feeling. I am not urgency. I am not every thought that appears. I can feel intensity and still choose wisely." This builds self-trust, and self-trust changes everything. Because many people fear their own reactions. They know what they become when upset, so they walk on eggshells around themselves. But when you learn pause, you become safer to yourself, then safer to others. There are practical forms of the 10-second skill. First, breathe longer on the exhale. The body reads long exhales as reduced threat. Second, relax the jaw. Many people think angry thoughts with clenched muscles. Third, do not type yet. Hands can betray futures quickly. Fourth, look away from the trigger physically if possible. Visual distance can help emotional distance. Fifth, name the feeling accurately. Not, "I'm furious." Try, "I feel embarrassed. I feel dismissed. I feel scared. I feel overwhelmed." Precise naming lowers false intensity. Sixth, remember consequence. One sentence can become memory in someone else forever. Seventh, choose delay proudly. You do not owe instant access to your reaction. Another important truth: sometimes the pause ends in firm action. You still confront, still set boundaries, still leave, still say no, still protect yourself. But now it comes from clarity, not combustion. That difference matters. Two people can say the same boundary, one from rage, one from steadiness. The second usually lands cleaner. The pause does not make you passive,
It makes you accurate. There is also a hidden gift. The pause reveals patterns. If the same person repeatedly needs your pause, that's data. If the same environment constantly dysregulates you, that's data. If hunger triggers you, if sleep loss triggers you, if disrespect triggers you, patterns emerge when you stop reacting blindly. Awareness grows where chaos slows. Many lives become easier, not because problems vanished, but because reactions matured. Less damage, less regret, less explaining later, less apologizing for preventable moments, more dignity, more choice, more respect, more peace. Still, the pause treats the explosion, but deeper healing asks another question. What is the anger trying to protect? Because if pain remains buried, you may keep needing pauses forever. The wiser path is not only to interrupt fire, but to remove fuel, to heal the wound beneath the weapon, to understand what anger stands guard over, because anger often protects something softer, something older, something more human than rage.
Chapter 8. Heal what anger is protecting. Anger is often a bodyguard, loud, fast, intimidating, protective. It rushes to the front, raises its voice, expands the chest, sharpens the eyes, demands action. But bodyguards usually protect something behind them, something more vulnerable, something softer, something easier to wound. This is why many people keep trying to eliminate anger without asking what anger is guarding. And when you attack the guard without healing what it protects, the guard keeps returning, sometimes stronger. Many people say, "I just need to stop being angry." Maybe, but often the deeper truth is, you need to understand what keeps needing defense. For some, anger protects hurt, the pain of being dismissed, the sting of rejection, the ache of feeling unimportant, the grief of not being chosen, the sadness of being unseen. To feel these emotions directly can feel exposed, so anger arrives instead. It feels stronger than sadness, safer than grief, more active than pain. A person says, "I'm furious they ignored me." Sometimes beneath it is, "I feel invisible." A person says, "I hate how they left." Sometimes beneath it is, "I feel abandoned." A person says, "I can't stand criticism." Sometimes beneath it is, "I feel ashamed and not enough." When softer truths remain unnamed, harder emotions lead behavior. For others, anger protects fear. Fear of losing control, fear of being disrespected, fear of being replaced, fear of failing publicly, fear of being trapped again, fear of being powerless. Fear often feels small, anger feels powerful, so the mind chooses power over vulnerability. But borrowed power is unstable. You may dominate a moment, yet remain ruled internally. There is also anger protecting exhaustion. Some people are not enraged, they are depleted. Their body has nothing left for patience, nothing left for flexibility, nothing left for grace. So irritation becomes the language of low reserves. Another hidden layer. Anger can protect identity. If someone built self-worth around being right, strong, needed, superior, then anything threatening that image can trigger rage. Because the person is not defending truth, they are defending who they think they must be. Healing requires asking, who am I beneath performance? Who am I without needing to win every room? Who am I if I am imperfect and still worthy? This question can quiet many battles.
There is also old grief behind modern anger. Years lost,
love wasted, trust broken, opportunities missed, versions of yourself abandoned trying to survive. Many people never mourn these losses, so the sadness hardens. Then everyday life receives the sharp edges of uncried tears. Some people need less argument and more grieving, less proving and more feeling, less control and more release. This is difficult because society often rewards visible anger more than honest pain. Anger looks strong, sadness looks weak, but unresolved sadness often becomes lifelong anger, and anger that never asks why can waste decades. Healing begins with curiosity. When anger rises, pause and ask, what is this protecting? What feels threatened? What softer emotion is underneath? What need is not being met? What old wound feels touched? These questions move you from punishment to understanding, from chaos to clarity, from symptom to source. Imagine someone cuts you off in traffic. You explode internally. Ask deeper, am I really angry about traffic or already overwhelmed and desperate for control? Imagine someone forgets your birthday. You feel rage. Ask deeper, am I angry at the date or hurt that I feel unseen? Imagine criticism at work burns for hours. Ask deeper, am I mad at feedback or ashamed that I tie mistakes to worth? The deeper answer often changes the solution. If the issue is hurt, you need compassion. If the issue is fear, you need safety. If the issue is shame, you need self-worth. If the issue is grief, you need space to mourn. If the issue is exhaustion, you need restoration. If the issue is disrespect, you need boundaries. Anger often points somewhere wiser than itself. Another truth, healing does not mean never feeling anger again. Healthy anger exists. It tells you when values are crossed, when boundaries are violated, when injustice is present, when action is needed. The goal is not numbness. The goal is cleaner anger. Anger informed by truth, not trauma. Anger directed by values, not ego. Anger expressed through boundaries, not destruction.
Some people fear healing because they think losing anger means losing strength. No, you are not losing strength. You are separating strength from chaos. Right now, anger may be the only force you trust. After healing, calmness becomes force too. Clarity becomes force. Standards become force. Walking away becomes force. Silence becomes force. Many powerful actions make no noise. There is another barrier: secondary benefits. Sometimes anger gives hidden rewards. People leave you alone. You feel important. You feel energy. You avoid sadness. You control rooms through tension. You excuse lack of growth. If anger pays you secretly, healing feels expensive. Be honest. What has anger been giving me? Protection, attention, distance, identity, permission to blame, temporary power. Honesty removes hidden contracts, then freedom becomes possible. There is also the body component. You cannot heal emotional fuel while living in constant physiological fire. Sleep matters, movement matters, food matters, breathing matters. Sunlight matters, safety matters, relationships matter. Some people journal beautifully, then live in systems that re-trigger them daily. Healing requires environment too. You cannot plant peace in toxic soil and expect it to flourish quickly. Another essential practice: learn emotional vocabulary.
Many people know only 3 words: fine, stressed, angry. But beneath anger may be rejected, embarrassed, lonely, overstimulated, disappointed, powerless, ignored, jealous, ashamed, grieving. The more accurately you name experience, the less likely anger must carry everything. Precision softens pressure. There is also forgiveness, not always reconciliation, not pretending harm was okay, but releasing the demand that the past become different. Some people stay angry because anger feels like loyalty to pain. If I let go, it means it did not matter. No, it mattered, and you can honor the wound without living inside it forever. Forgiveness can simply mean I refuse to keep bleeding for what already happened. That is strength. Another healing move: build a life with multiple sources of meaning. Some anger grows when everything depends on one person, one job, one dream, one identity, one source of validation. Then threat to that one thing feels catastrophic. Diversify meaning: friendship, purpose, health, craft, faith, learning, service, stillness. When life has many roots, one storm shakes less. There is a phrase worth remembering: do not ask anger to do healing's job. Anger can alert, protect briefly, signal wrongness, but it cannot soothe shame, cannot rebuild self-worth, cannot process grief, cannot create secure attachment, cannot give peace. Only deeper work can. And deeper work is often quiet. Journaling honestly, therapy if available, conversations with trusted people, solitude without distraction, changing environments, practicing boundaries, keeping promises to yourself, letting tears come, letting truth in. This work is less dramatic than rage, but infinitely more transformative. You may notice something beautiful over time. Moments that once lit fires now create only warmth. Things that once triggered collapse now feel manageable. Insults lose reach, delays lose power, criticism loses poison, because the wound beneath them is closing. And when wounds close, triggers lose access. Still, healing anger is not only about reducing pain, it is also about discovering a stronger identity, a calmer form of strength, one that does not need explosions to feel powerful, one that can enter pressure and remain composed, because eventually the greatest revenge is not rage, it is peace, and the greatest power is not force, it is calmness under pressure.
Chapter 9. Calmness is real power. Most people misunderstand power. They think power is loud, dominating, aggressive, intimidating. Always winning arguments, always having the final word, always being feared, always being obeyed. That is one version of power, but often it is unstable power. Power that depends on pressure, power that depends on reaction, power that disappears when people stop submitting. Real power often looks quieter, steadier, less dramatic. It does not need to announce itself. It does not rush to prove itself. It does not panic when challenged. It does not become smaller in chaos. Real power can remain calm. This is why calmness changes rooms. When tension rises and one person stays grounded, everyone feels it. When others rush and one person moves with clarity, everyone notices. When emotions spread and one person refuses infection, that person becomes center. Calmness is not weakness, it is regulation under pressure. And regulation under pressure is rare. Rare things feel valuable. Many people can appear strong when life is easy, when respected, when winning, when comfortable, when admired. But pressure reveals structure.
Who remains thoughtful when insulted? Who remains clear when plans fail? Who remains dignified when others misunderstood? Who remains measured when others lose control? That person has built something internal, and internal strength outlasts external advantage. There is a reason calm people often seem powerful. They are harder to move. Anyone can move a reactive person. A rude comment moves them. A delay moves them. A stranger's opinion moves them. A small loss moves them. An ignored message moves them. Their emotional steering wheel is available to the world. But a calm person guards the wheel. They may feel emotion, but they choose movement. That creates gravity, because people trust what is not easily shaken. Another truth: calmness creates better decisions. Anger narrows perspective. Fear exaggerates danger. Pride seeks victory over wisdom. Shame hides truth. But calmness widens the lens. You can see options, nuance, timing, consequence. The person who stays calm often wins later, even if they do not win loudly now. Many people sacrifice long-term outcomes for short-term emotional relief. They lash out, send the message, quit dramatically, expose everyone, burn bridges, then regret arrives when calm returns. Calmness protects future you. It asks what matters tomorrow, not only what feels urgent today. There is also social power in calmness. Imagine two people in conflict. One is shouting, interrupting, defensive, visibly controlled by emotion. The other is steady, listening, precise, unhurried. Which appears stronger? Usually the one less possessed by the moment. This is why some people try to provoke you. They know if they can control your state, they gain advantage. Many arguments are won before words, through nervous systems. If someone can make you abandon yourself, they already shifted power. Calmness resists manipulation. Another layer: calmness improves perception. When emotionally flooded, you misread tone, assume motives, miss details, forget context, magnify threat. But calm minds observe better. They notice patterns, body language, timing, what is said, what is avoided, what truly matters. Many people lose because they react before they understand. Calmness buys information, and information is leverage. There is also dignity. Explosive reactions often create a second wound, the original problem, then the shame of how you handled it. Calmness prevents unnecessary self-betrayal. You can still be firm, still say no, still leave, still confront, but without becoming someone you must apologize for later. That is freedom.
Some people fear calmness because they confuse it with passivity. They think, if I stay calm, people will walk over me. No, passivity is silence from fear. Calmness is strength without chaos. Passivity avoids boundaries. Calmness can enforce them cleanly. Passivity collapses. Calmness stands. Passivity swallows truth. Calmness speaks truth without poison. Huge difference. Another misconception: calm people feel nothing. False. Many calm people feel deeply. They simply developed capacity. They can contain intensity without spilling it everywhere. They can carry emotion without making it everyone's burden. They can process pain without turning every room into battlefield. This maturity feels powerful because it is. There is a practical reason calmness matters. Life is full of tests that reward steadiness: interviews, leadership, parenting, relationships, negotiation, crises, money decisions, conflict, health scares. The person who can remain composed under uncertainty has advantage repeatedly.
While others burn energy panicking, they preserve energy for action. Another hidden gift: calmness protects health. Constant anger taxes the body. Sleep suffers, digestion suffers, recovery suffers, blood pressure rises, tension becomes baseline. Years of unmanaged reactivity are expensive. Peace is not only emotional, it is biological wealth. There is also attractiveness, not shallow appearance, presence. People are drawn to those who feel safe and solid, someone who can handle pressure, not overreact to everything, listen fully, respond wisely, stay warm without chaos. That presence is magnetic, because nervous systems trust steadiness. Calmness says, "You do not need to brace around me." This deepens relationships. There is another paradox. Calmness often increases respect more than anger does. Many people try to earn respect through intimidation, but fear-based respect is unstable. People comply publicly, resent privately. Yet when someone is fair, clear, composed, consistent, respect roots deeper, because it is chosen, not forced. Some of the most respected people in any room are not the loudest, they are the most centered. How do you build calmness? First, slow down physically. Speed can create false urgency. Move deliberately. Breathe lower. Pause before replying. Let your body teach your mind. Second, reduce unnecessary stimulation. Too much noise outside creates noise inside. Third, know your triggers in advance. If disrespect triggers you, prepare responses beforehand. If hunger changes mood, plan for it. If fatigue shortens patience, honor recovery. Prepared minds stay steadier. Fourth, separate event from identity. Someone disagreed. That is an event. It does not define your worth. Plans changed. That is an event. It does not ruin your life. Distance from identity reduces emotional fire. Fifth, practice controlled exposure. Stay calm in small inconveniences deliberately. Slow line, traffic, minor mistakes. Use them as training. If you master calm in small storms, bigger storms meet stronger structure. There is also language. Reactive people often use catastrophic words: always, never, ruined, disaster, hate. These words intensify state. Calm people use accurate words: annoying, disappointing, temporary, manageable, need to address. Language shapes nervous system. Choose precision over drama. Another truth: calmness grows when self-worth stops depending on every moment. If every disagreement threatens worth, you will react. If every delay threatens identity, you will react. If every rejection threatens value, you will react. But when worth is rooted deeper, moments become smaller, and smaller moments need smaller emotions. Some people wait to become calm after life improves. Better plan: become calmer and life improves differently. Because your choices improve, your relationships improve, your timing improves, your image improves, your health improves, your recovery improves. Calmness compounds. Still, calmness alone is not the final level. A person may remain composed, yet still be vulnerable to repeated triggers, still too available to chaos, still dependent on unstable people, still lacking boundaries. The next level is stronger, not only staying calm in moments, but becoming someone small things struggle to move at all. A person with standards, with healed identity, with cleaner boundaries, with less ego, with more peace than provocation can reach. That is when life changes most, because calmness is power, but resilience is freedom.
How do you build calmness? First, slow down physically. Speed can create false urgency. Move deliberately. Breathe lower. Pause before replying. Let your body teach your mind. Second, reduce unnecessary stimulation.
Too much noise outside creates noise inside. Third, know your triggers in advance. If disrespect triggers you, prepare responses beforehand. If hunger changes mood, plan for it. If fatigue shortens patience, honor recovery. Prepared minds stay steadier. Fourth, separate event from identity. Someone disagreed. That is an event. It does not define your worth. Plans changed. That is an event. It does not ruin your life. Distance from identity reduces emotional fire. Fifth, practice controlled exposure. Stay calm in small inconveniences deliberately. Slow line, traffic, minor mistakes. Use them as training. If you master calm in small storms, bigger storms meet stronger structure. There is also language. Reactive people often use catastrophic words. Always, never, ruined, disaster, hate. These words intensify state. Calm people use accurate words. Annoying, disappointing, temporary, manageable, need to address. Language shapes nervous system. Choose precision over drama. Another truth, calmness grows when self-worth stops depending on every moment. If every disagreement threatens worth, you will react. If every delay threatens identity, you will react. If every rejection threatens value, you will react. But when worth is rooted deeper, moments become smaller. And smaller moments need smaller emotions. Some people wait to become calm after life improves. Better plan, become calmer and life improves differently. Because your choices improve, your relationships improve, your timing improves, your image improves, your health improves, your recovery improves. Calmness compounds. Still, calmness alone is not the final level. A person may remain composed, yet still be vulnerable to repeated triggers, still too available to chaos, still dependent on unstable people, still lacking boundaries. The next level is stronger, not only staying calm in moments, but becoming someone small things struggle to move at all. A person with standards, with healed identity, with cleaner boundaries, with less ego, with more peace than provocation can reach. That is when life changes most, because calmness is power, but resilience is freedom.
Chapter 10. Become difficult to trigger. Many people spend years trying to stay calm in bad moments. That matters, but there is a higher level than calming yourself after damage begins, becoming harder to damage in the first place. This is where real freedom starts, not when you can recover faster from chaos, but when less chaos enters you at all. Most people are easy to trigger because too many things own access to their nervous system. A stranger's tone, a delayed reply, a rude driver, an ex moving on, someone else succeeding, a family member's opinion, a co-worker's mood, social media comparisons, unexpected inconvenience, one careless comment. If small things can move you daily, your peace is outsourced, and outsourced peace is fragile peace. To become difficult to trigger is to reclaim ownership, not by becoming cold, not by pretending not to care, not by suppressing emotion, but by strengthening what reactions used to exploit. Some triggers disappear when wounds heal. Some disappear when standards rise. Some disappear when ego shrinks. Some disappear when life gets healthier. Some disappear when you stop personalizing everything. Many people think they need more patience, Sometimes they need fewer weak points. There is a difference. Patience says, I will tolerate this better. Strength says, this no longer controls me. That second level changes life. The first place to grow difficult to trigger is identity. If your worth depends on being liked, disapproval will trigger you. If worth depends on being admired, comparison will trigger you. If worth depends on being chosen, rejection will trigger you. If worth depends on control, uncertainty will trigger you. Triggers often reveal where identity is rented. The stronger your inner identity, the fewer external moments can shake it. This is why self-respect matters so much. Self-respect says, I know who I am, even when moods around me change. I know my value, even when someone cannot see it. I know my direction, even when others misunderstand it. I know my standards, even when pressure asks me to lower them. A person with rooted identity becomes quieter inside because every passing opinion no longer requires emotional response. Another major shift: stop making everything personal. Many people suffer because they interpret neutral events through self-reference. Someone is distant, it must be me. Someone is rude, they disrespect me specifically. Someone forgets, I do not matter. Someone succeeds, I am behind. Plans change, life is against me. This habit creates unnecessary pain. Sometimes people are tired, distracted, immature, busy, unaware, human. Not every behavior is a statement about your worth. When you stop assigning personal meaning to every inconvenience, half your triggers lose oxygen. There is another level: standards. People with weak boundaries get triggered more often because they stay in places that repeatedly wound them. They keep access open to chaos, remain available to disrespect, stay around people they drain, say yes when they mean no, tolerate patterns they secretly resent, then wonder why they are always angry. Some anger is accumulated boundary failure. Becoming difficult to trigger sometimes means changing environment, leaving earlier, reducing access, saying no sooner, choosing healthier people, protecting time, protecting sleep, protecting peace. No nervous system thrives in repeated disrespect. Another powerful shift: reduce ego investment. Many triggers are pride wounds, not life wounds. Someone challenged you, someone ignored your expertise, someone did not praise you, someone disagreed publicly, someone else got attention. Ego says emergency, wisdom says ordinary life. The less identity you attach to status moments, the freer you become. You do not need to win every exchange. You do not need every room to recognize you. You do not need constant proof of importance. This humility saves enormous emotional energy. There is also nervous system resilience. If you're sleep-deprived, overstimulated, burned out, under-recovered, hungry, living in chronic stress, you will be easier to trigger. That's not weakness, that's physiology. So becoming difficult to trigger includes practical care. Sleep consistently, move regularly, eat predictably, reduce noise, create solitude, breathe deeply, slow your pace. What many call mindset is sometimes maintenance. There is another truth. Triggered people often have no pause between feeling and action. Difficult to trigger people still feel irritation, but there is space, a buffer, a gap where choice lives. They notice, I feel anger, but I do not become anger. I feel insulted, but I do not have to answer immediately. I feel pressure, but urgency is not command. This gap is one of the greatest forms of freedom. Train it daily. Pause before replies. Pause before purchases. Pause before defending. Pause before saying yes. Pause before assuming motives. The person with pause has options. The person without pause has patterns. Another hidden upgrade: have more than one source of meaning. When your entire emotional world depends on one person, one job, one identity, one dream, threat feels catastrophic. Then triggers multiply. But if life contains multiple roots, friendship, purpose, health, learning, faith, service, craft, peace, one storm shakes less. Difficult to trigger people often built wider lives. There is also selective attention. Not everything deserves energy. Many people are emotionally generous with nonsense. They give full nervous system response to trivial people, trivial comments, trivial delays, trivial internet noise. Ask often, does this really matter in a week, in a year? Does this deserve access to my body? Some things need action, many need dismissal. Discernment protects peace. Another layer: expect imperfection. If you expect traffic never to happen, humans never to disappoint, technology never to fail, life never to delay, you will be triggered often. But if you expect occasional inconvenience, reality stops feeling like betrayal. Maturity includes realistic expectations. There is also forgiveness of self.
Some people stay easy to trigger because they are already angry at themselves for wasted years, past mistakes, choices made from pain, bodies neglected, standards abandoned, unspoken truths. Then ordinary life lands on existing self-hostility. Heal your relationship with yourself. Inner war makes outer sparks dangerous. There is a powerful image. Imagine your mind as a house. Some houses have every door unlocked. Any stranger enters, any comment enters, any mood enters, any chaos enters. Other houses have doors, windows, filters, standards, locks. Not everything gets in. Becoming difficult to trigger is building the second house, not isolation, intelligent access. Some people fear this growth. They worry, will I become cold, detached, less passionate? No, you become clearer, more selective, more stable, still warm, still caring, still human, but less available to nonsense. That is not coldness, that is maturity. There is another sign you are changing. Things that once consumed hours now pass in minutes. Things that once ruined days now become moments. Things that once demanded reaction now receive observation. Things that once pulled you back now cannot reach you. This is evidence of growth. Celebrate it quietly. Some people will notice your change. They may say, "You've changed. You don't react like before. You're distant. You're different." Often what they mean is, "My old access no longer works." Growth frequently disappoints those who benefited from your dysregulation. Let them adjust. Your job is not to remain easy to disturb. Your job is to become safe for yourself. There will still be real triggers: betrayal, loss, injustice, grief, serious disrespect. You are still human. The goal is not robotic numbness. The goal is proportion. Real pain gets real response. Small nonsense gets little access. That balance is wisdom. And eventually, you reach a beautiful place. You stop asking, "How do I stop getting angry?" and start asking, "Why would I hand this my peace?" That question changes everything, because peace becomes valuable, and what is valuable is protected. You become slower to anger, quicker to understand, cleaner with boundaries, less hungry for approval, more rooted in identity, more careful with energy, more difficult to move.
This is strength few people recognize at first, but everyone feels eventually. And once you become difficult to trigger, you stop living at the mercy of random moments. You begin living by chosen principles. That is freedom. That is maturity. That is emotional power.
Peace is power. There are people who spend their lives trying to feel powerful. They chase control over others, control over outcomes, control over attention, control over reputation, control over rooms, control over how everyone sees them. And yet, many of them remain weak inside, because anything that controls your peace controls you. If one rude comment can ruin your day, you are not free. If one delayed reply can shake your worth, you are not free. If one disagreement can ignite your ego, you are not free. If one inconvenience can steal your calm, you are not free. If one person's approval decides your mood, you are not free. Many people look powerful in public, but are privately ruled by tiny things. That is not power. That is dependence wearing confidence. Real power is quieter. It is the ability to remain whole when life becomes imperfect, to stay clear when emotions rise, to stay measured when others become reckless, to stay dignified when disrespected, to stay rooted when outcomes change, to stay kind without becoming weak, to stay firm without becoming cruel, to stay soft without becoming easy to harm. That kind of power cannot be faked. It is built slowly, through pauses no one applauded, through boundaries others disliked, through healing work no one saw, through nights you chose growth over revenge, through moments you wanted to explode but chose wisdom, through times you were misunderstood but stayed aligned, through seasons you had every excuse to become bitter but did not. That is how peace is built, not by escaping life, by becoming stronger inside it. Many people think peace means a problem-free life, no conflict, no stress, no difficult people, no disappointment, no uncertainty, no pain. That peace does not exist. Life will always contain weather. Real peace is different. It is the ability to carry steadiness through changing weather, to remain centered while storms pass, to bend without breaking, to feel deeply without drowning, to grieve without collapsing, to care without losing yourself, to love without abandoning self-respect, to lose something and still not lose you. That is peace with backbone, peace with strength, peace with strength. There will be people who misunderstand your calmness. They may call it weakness, silence, passivity, distance. But often people confuse chaos with strength because chaos is louder. Do not be fooled. The loudest person in the room is rarely the strongest. Often they are the most controlled by themselves. The strongest person may be the one breathing slowly, listening clearly, speaking little, choosing carefully, leaving cleanly, holding boundaries without drama. That person carries invisible power. Some people will test your peace with disrespect, provocation, manipulation, immaturity. They want reaction because reaction gives them influence. Do not hand strangers keys to your emotional energy. Not every comment deserves a reply. Not every insult deserves defense. Not every misunderstanding deserves explanation. Not every battle deserves your presence. Discernment is peace protection. Remember this:
You do not need to attend every argument you are invited to. You do not need to prove your worth to confused people. You do not need to chase understanding from those committed to misunderstanding you. You do not need to set yourself on fire to keep being liked. You do not need to become loud to matter. You do not need to become hard to be strong. You only need to become rooted. There is a version of you waiting on the other side of emotional mastery. A calmer version, a clearer version, a less reactive version. A version that doesn't panic at delay, doesn't collapse at rejection, doesn't explode at inconvenience, doesn't beg for validation, doesn't carry old pain into every new moment. A version that chooses responses instead of repeating patterns. That version is not fantasy. It is built decision by decision, pause by pause, boundary by boundary, truth by truth, healing by healing. And if you keep building it, one day you will notice something beautiful. Things that used to trigger you no longer reach you. People who once controlled your mood no longer can. Moments that once ruined your day now pass quietly. The world may remain chaotic, but you are no longer chaotic inside it. That is transformation. That is wealth no money can buy. That is confidence no praise can give. That is freedom no crowd can grant. Because when peace comes from within, it cannot be easily stolen from outside. So the next time anger rises, don't only ask, "How do I stop this?" Ask, "What is this trying to teach me? What wound wants healing? What boundary wants honoring? What story wants releasing? What part of me is ready to grow?" Then use the moment wisely, because every trigger can become teacher. Every pause can become power. Every healed wound can become wisdom. Every calm response can become identity. And every day you protect your peace, you become harder to break, harder to manipulate, harder to shake, harder to move away from yourself. One final truth: the world is full of people trying to look powerful. Become the one who is peaceful, because in the end, peace is power. There will be people who misunderstand your calmness. They may call it weakness, silence, passivity, distance. But often, people confuse chaos with strength because chaos is louder. Do not be fooled. The loudest person in the room is rarely the strongest. Often, they are the most controlled by themselves. The strongest person may be the one breathing slowly, listening clearly, speaking little, choosing carefully, leaving cleanly, holding boundaries without drama. That person carries invisible power. Some people will test your peace with disrespect, provocation, manipulation, immaturity. They want reaction because reaction gives them influence. Do not hand strangers keys to your nervous system. Not everyone deserves access to your emotional energy. Not every comment deserves a reply. Not every insult deserves defense. Not every misunderstanding deserves explanation. Not every battle deserves your presence. Discernment is peace protection. Remember this: you do not need to attend every argument you are invited to. You do not need to prove your worth to confused people. You do not need to chase understanding from those committed to misunderstanding you. You do not need to set yourself on fire to keep being liked. You do not need to become loud to matter. You do not need to become hard to be strong. You only need to become rooted. There is a version of you waiting on the other side of emotional mastery, a calmer version, a clearer version, a less reactive version, A version that does not panic at delay, does not collapse at rejection, does not explode at inconvenience, does not beg for validation, does not carry old pain into every new moment. A version that chooses responses instead of repeating patterns. That version is not fantasy. It is built decision by decision, pause by pause, boundary by boundary, truth by truth, healing by healing. And if you keep building it, one day you will notice something beautiful. Things that used to trigger you no longer reach you. People who once controlled your mood no longer can. Moments that once ruined your day now pass quietly. The world may remain chaotic, but you are no longer chaotic inside it. That is transformation. That is wealth no money can buy. That is confidence no praise can give. That is freedom no crowd can grant. Because when peace comes from within, it cannot be easily stolen from outside. So the next time anger rises, do not only ask, "How do I stop this?" Ask, "What is this trying to teach me? What wound wants healing? What boundary wants honoring? What story wants releasing? What part of me is ready to grow?" Then use the moment wisely, because every trigger can become teacher. Every pause can become power. Every healed wound can become wisdom. And every calm response can become identity. And every day you protect your peace, you become harder to break, harder to manipulate, harder to shake, harder to move away from yourself. One final truth: the world is full of people trying to look powerful. Become the one who is peaceful, because in the end, peace is power.
If this message spoke to you, share it, subscribe, keep listening. This is Beyond the Noise Studio.